Crater Lake.
Yeah. Actually been there twice. It's the only place, I think that's the only national park I've visited 2 times. Yeah, just a family favorite. I think what year it was?
Deepest lake in the world.
Yep, deepest lake in the world. Formed, it's a caldera, mountain blue its top, and it's only fed by rainwater, and it doesn't feed anything. So it actually just, most of the water sits in there, it seeps slowly out, so it just maintains. I think it's like the clearest lake or cleanest lake in the world. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
How deep is it?
What did you find? It was just under 2,000 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Actually, so my son's favorite part there is they've got the Pika mouse. So he's all into Pokemon, and so the Pika mouse lives there. And we actually, first year we went, saw one, kind of on the cliff face, running around. So it's pretty cool.
Those are cute.
Yeah.
Cute.
We didn't have any Pokeballs though.
You call him Pika. Oh yeah, I would call him Pika too if I was a kid.
Yeah.
Even though they're pronounced Pika. But yeah, I'd call it a Pika mouse. But they are cute. They're like American guinea pigs. They live, they're cute as shit, and they'll squeak at you like.
Yeah.
They'll bark at you. Cool. So so that's your second time at Crater Lake?
Yep. Yeah, so we went, actually this last summer is the second time we went, and the first was back in 2018 or 19, so yeah.
Nice. So what else?
Well, shoot, I mean, actually, so the first time we went too, they've got the craziest mosquitoes there. We went camping at Diamond Lake.
Oh.
Kids were all younger too, so that had a lot of fun. But man, the mosquitoes were about the size of the kids.
So Crater Lake is in Oregon, correct?
Yep.
Cool. Is that where you're from originally?
No, actually, I grew up here in Washington. So grew up in Basin City, which is a small farming community just half hour this way, Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. My dad lives down in Tri-Cities. We've gone hunting and driving up through all those little small towns like Othello and Basin City. And
yeah. Dang.
So what brought you here to Spokane?
So actually we kind of moved around quite a bit, and then we moved back. We were living in Connell for a few years, and my son has hydrocephalus, so he's had to have several brain surgeries, and his physicians were here, all his doctors, his neurosurgeon, and so we kept making trips to Spokane, and we had an opportunity to move here and decided we were done with all the driving back and forth. So,
dang. So does he go to Shriners?
No, we were just taking him to Sacred Heart.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough, and it seems like that would be the wise move, just to move here instead of going back and forth from small townville. So yeah, talk about that. That must be a really difficult journey, navigating the healthcare system and what your son's got going.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because you don't, looking back at it, is when you start realizing everything you've gone through. When you're going through it, it's just survival mode. You're just trying to get through it. So we actually found out with him, it was our first child, and we're at that 19-week ultrasound. Things are supposed to be all happy, and you're finding out how well your baby's doing, and we get taken back to a room and waiting for the doctor to call to tell us that they found something in the ultrasound. And then from that point on, it was ultrasound every week, checking in with the doctors. And we were over in Seattle at the time. And they basically told us we should start over. And we're like, no, we're not doing that. So we, from there, moved to Idaho to be closer to my wife's family. And just we didn't know what was going to happen. And luckily we had some great doctors over in Idaho that were able to get him delivered, and 2 days after he was born, he had his first brain surgery, and he's had 7 brain surgeries. The one good thing is since we've moved to Spokane, so right before we moved, we actually had, so he has a shunt that drains water from his brain down into his abdomen because his ventricles didn't form properly. So it builds up, and because it wasn't draining, his head was a lot larger, and it compressed his brain against his skull. And so they were able to place that shunt to help drain it. But the subsequent brain surgeries have been when those fail. But since we moved to Spokane, we haven't, knock on wood here, haven't had another brain surgery.
How's that affected him developmentally?
Yeah, so he's... it's interesting. There's different parts where, if you look at him on paper too, we've gone in several times to doctors and they see the kid standing in front of him, and what they see on paper, and it doesn't match up just because he's, like if you talk to him or stood next to him and where he was next to me, you wouldn't really notice anything. But developmentally, he struggles in a lot of the academic, math, reading. But then he has
Can he
lots.
walk?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, he walks. He can talk. His corpus callosum didn't form correctly. So.
Oh, interesting.
So with that, we've just worked with him. We do a lot of therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy has been huge for him.
Does he have seizures?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been something we always watch for, but we've been blessed enough that he hasn't had to deal with that on top of everything.
Damn. Well, yeah, for sure. So this drain mechanism seems to be working well.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't had any surgery since. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hope, too, because especially with this new... I was just watching, there's this thing called CRISPR. It's the gene editing software that can go and change this stuff. So very similar to you. I remember when my daughter was still in the womb, the doctors, they did an ultrasound and they noticed her femurs were bowed. And they're like, hey, yeah, all babies are born with bowed femurs, but hers are particularly bowed. We think she might have OI, osteogenesis imperfecta. And we're like, and then they offered, yeah, there's a high probability she has it. And it came from the mom side. But either way, they offer that. They're like, yeah, you could have an abortion. And we're like, no, we ain't doing that. And I remember the day she was born, it was kind of traumatic as shit, because she came out and her legs were like incredibly bowed and like up, like not normal.
Yeah.
However, it had been a struggle, and she has really persevered well, and she's graduating this year. This is fine. But her bones do break easier than most people. However, the only breaks she's had have been on weight-bearing bones of femurs, or horrible breaks, and tibia, fibia. However, since she's had her rodding procedure and has had rods in the bones, her breaks have been... she hasn't had many breaks, even though one time she did slip and a rod punched through her femur, and that wasn't cool.
Oof,
yeah,
that sounds
painful. It was a tough one. Oh god, and felt horrible for her. But I mean, she was in a car accident and no brakes or anything.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but mostly because of this phenomenal drug that they do for bone infusions. So they infuse this drug, this bone hardening drug, into her bones, and she gets that once every 6 months, and that seems to help her out a lot. And she's excelled. She has no developmental problems. That's phenomenal. She has her boyfriend and everything, and she seems to live a pretty normal life. I asked her, I was like, if you could be I told her about CRISPR. And I'm like, there's a really good possibility that in your lifetime this will be reversed. And I asked, would you want to change? And she wouldn't want to change because she gets all this attention. So, but yeah, it's really tough. She's broken more times than I can remember. I can't keep count how many times she's broken.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough. And it was really tough for me leaving the military, knowing that I had this safety net of this medical care. But Shriners was one of the reasons why I moved specifically to Spokane. And they were phenomenal. They're like the premier for OI kids and whatnot. So yeah, but it is tough. It's a very difficult struggle. And for you, there's a lot of unknowns and questions. And now that my daughter's going to be 18 in July, it's like, how the fuck's she going to get insurance kind of a thing? Cause yeah. But however, I mean, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But it's still shit I worry about. It's a never-ending worry. I think all parents are just plagued with irrational fears about their kids.
Right. Yeah, even when there's not any healthcare challenges. So I've got 3 other kids, and we have some healthcare challenges with some of those. But, it's different. But it's funny, too, when you talk about different conditions. Like I can't imagine going through OI with the child and dealing with the breaks. Mm-hmm. We were actually in a surgery waiting room one time and there's some other parents there, and their child was in having heart surgery. And my wife and I are like, oh man, I can't imagine, having my child's heart worked on. And they're sitting there saying, well, I can't imagine having brain surgery. And so it's just all the different it's feelings of what and what you're used to dealing with. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to overcome what you're dealt.
And it's an incredibly helpless feeling.
Yeah.
As a parent. Like you're just there.
Yeah.
The subject of the doctors. And yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's been other times where she's like gotten hurt or bruised, but the psychosomatic thing takes over and she thinks she's broken. And we've done the times where it's like, okay, I mean, I wish I had an x-ray machine.
Right.
That way I'd be like, okay, it is or is not broken. But it's still a very bright future because we have phenomenal medical advances that can reverse these things. There's somebody who had their sight restored because of CRISPR. There's all sorts of really cool things. Like it just changes the gene.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really cool how it does it. So like it goes to where the gene has the problem. It shoots acid and cuts the gene with acid right before the problem. And then the gene regrows normally. And they use these little robots that go and do this.
Yeah, no, the technology there is insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting though too, because we talked to our son about various things, and he talks about how, just like you're saying with your daughter, she wouldn't change how she is, and my son's very much the same way, and I agree. Just in the fact of we all are based on our experiences, so my son is who he is because of his experiences. And I think it's great. We got to balance that. Okay, how do we help people to live healthier lives and provide the resources and use the technology that we have, while also, celebrating the people that we do have and how they are. And, we are all individuals based on our experiences. And, I know I'm completely different now than I would have ever been had I not gone through the experience of being in the hospital with my son. And the uncertainty and the fear of waiting in that waiting room. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of that, like, well, where do you go with that when I wouldn't change my child for the world, but I also don't want someone else to go through it. Yeah,
it's tough because life's a bitch, man, and we get dealt cards, and we got to be able to deal with it. I mean, there's days where I think, but the thing is, we got to persevere. You have to keep persevering regardless of overwhelming odds.
Yep.
And when you just continue to do that, you tend to forget about the bad shit, and you just focus on the good shit. Like, hey, nothing bad has happened this month. I've generally been progressing forward towards my goals. So I set goals. I try to go towards them. My kids now, I mean, I don't have small kids anymore. My daughter's going to be graduating this year, and it's great because she can walk and everything, and she's fine.
Yeah.
Even though she's probably spent a solid quarter of her life in a wheelchair, recovering from breaks. But and then my youngest, he's 16 now, so he's going to be graduating in 2 years. And then I'll be an empty nester.
Yeah, that's a lot to deal with, being an empty nester, man.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying, what I'm trying to get back to is it sucks. It's difficult with small kids, I mean, I don't know how small your kids are, but you got 3 other ones, so you have 4 kids.
Yep.
Good for you. Yeah, I got 3 kids total. So how old are they?
So they are 9 to 15. So pretty much every 2 years we had them, and it was all planned. I'm actually the youngest of 10. We had a farm, so had to have the workers for the farm. So for me, 4 is not that many.
So you had a farm down in Farmville?
Yep.
Did you have animals?
No, luckily we didn't have animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad enjoyed having our winters off.
Yeah. Well, dang. Well, I'm happy that your son doesn't need any surgeries anytime soon. But it's totally possible they can change this shit.
Yeah, and it's with his, I mean, we pretty much are just waiting because the shunt that they place, it's basically a long tube that just goes down into the abdomen. There's the same substance that's usually at the base of the skull where the cerebrospinal fluid drains into. That's where it gets absorbed back into the body. It's in the abdomen as well. So we just drain his down into his abdomen. But if that shunt gets blocked or something stops working, then...
Now, how would you know?
Usually, there's just symptoms to look for. If he's throwing up, or sometimes it can be a mood change, which then trying to figure out, is this mood change puberty or is it shunt related? And then actually one time we didn't know his shunt wasn't working, and we had gone to, he was doing a vision check, and the optometrist, or it was actually an ophthalmologist, saw that the back of his eye was swelling. And so with that, they had us go get imaging, and they're like, yep, it's not working, and brought him back in for surgery. So.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And that's all drainage issues.
Yeah. And so there's been times we've actually, in the last few years, had some concerns, he was acting off, or, you just don't know. So we've taken him in just to get checked because, I mean, it's something in the brain. You can't just let it go. You have to find out.
Can he play sports?
He can play sports. Coordination's a little tough, but I mean, he's capable. He's more into video games and.
Mm-hmm. Is his balance off?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's difficult, but when's he gonna be able to drive?
Yeah, that's to be determined.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's asked me, and I'm like, we'll see, buddy.
Well, how old is he?
15.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
He probably wants to drive.
Yeah.
Probably wants a car. Yeah. So take him out in a parking lot or a dirt road and see how well he does. I wonder if his reaction time driving is slowed.
Yeah, we'll
You'll find out.
we'll find out.
Yeah, and maybe it's something he can work through with training.
Yeah.
So talk about Zebra Go. How did that come about? What is Zebra Go?
Yeah, so we I actually came on with a plumbing company, Plum Zebra, here in Spokane, and they were using different platforms to manage their scheduling, and we were just paying a lot of money for software, and it just the amount of money that we were spending on the software just didn't make any sense to me. And so I went to the owners and was like, we got to make a change here. And Will, Will and Cole brothers, they owned Plum Zebra, and Will let me know that he had actually been working on a custom built platform because he does some coding, and that he had just been kind of working on it in the background and hadn't implemented it yet. So once I found out about that, him and I went full on into finishing the development of that platform. And then we brought on some additional staff to help field more phone calls, and really developed a solid system where we have our staff answering calls and communicating directly with customers to make sure that they're getting appointment reminders, they're getting followed up with, just making sure they don't fall through the cracks. And as we developed this and just kind of saw the need that, hey, there's other small business owners, they can't afford to hire full-time admin staff or even have an office space. So we can provide them the staff without them having to hire a full-time employee for just a handful of phone calls. So we can help grow a business at a much lower cost. So with that, we separated the software out from the plumbing company because we didn't want there to be any conflict of interest, having one business be a part owner in that. And so Will and I went full on with Zebra Go, and I call it, we de-Plum Zebrafied it, so took all the plumbing specific terms out of the software and made it more specific or not specific, but more general for really anyone in the trades or anyone doing service at a customer location.
Okay, so what does it do?
Yeah, so we answer phone calls. So if you, say you're a plumber and you're out there doing, replacing a toilet, or you're in a crawl space, you can't answer the phone. So we answer the call, but then instead of just taking a message or having to log into whatever program you're using, our staff is trained on our program, and they enter in the customer information, put them on the schedule, and then on your phone you can pull up and you can see your schedule, and you can so they handle all the scheduling for you. You can go to your jobs, you can do your invoicing, collect payment, everything right in the app that it's not a mobile app, it's all web-based currently. But right on that web browser, you can basically handle all of your interaction with the customer, and as far as getting the job done, but all the phone calls, the appointment reminders, the follow-ups, they're all done with our real staff. So we don't do any automation. It's all handwritten messages or phone calls that are made.
You should talk to Al Merkel, because he was on yesterday talking about, because the whole podcast premise was how to start/grow a dog grooming business. And he gets over 40 calls a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so they got a schedule, and they're always trying to keep a tight schedule with the dogs in the grooming. So
yeah, we definitely love to help. Is he mobile?
He does not have a mobile dog grooming business. He has two. He owns D's Dog Grooming.
Okay.
So there's one here in Spokane Valley, and there's one on North Monroe.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
we're more focused on people that are going out, so that's why I asked for mobile. But I mean, yeah, if he's getting a ton of phone calls.
Well, yeah, it's still scheduling.
Yep.
Yeah, calls and scheduling the dogs, and he has an issue with people. If you schedule them 3 weeks out, they'll forget, and So they're going to have reminding systems to remind customers or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it seems like you might have a problem you could solve for him, or he has a problem you could solve.
Yeah.
Possibly.
No, that actually, I'm just thinking about that. So usually when I sign somebody up, we go through a whole process of, okay, what type of work do you get? What jobs do you not want us to schedule for you? And kind of a discovery call. So it'd be really fun to set up a dog groomer, like, okay, tell me about the types of dogs you like to handle, or should we schedule more time for angry cats? Or
yeah, they currently don't have a cat groomer, but yeah, the cats are double the money.
Yeah, I believe I have got 2 cats, and I've got one that just loves to scratch. And if I get a hold of her, she's fine. Like, she'll let me clip her nails and put those little covers on her nails. And then, but she just hides all day. She, like, if someone's around, she's under the couch or just hiding. And then I have my other cat who's more social. She'll walk around and interact with the family. But I tried to get her and clip her nails and put the caps on, and no. I'm gonna have to get like I don't know, some sort of full body harness to.
Yeah, you need ketamine. That's what they use in the vets to knock the cats out.
Yeah.
Freaking ketamine.
Oh, actually, so the when I was at Plum Zebra, the Plum Zebra office on Trent is the old Pet Savers building. So fun thing there is my office that I had there was actually the main surgery room. So most of the spays and neuters happened in my office that I worked out of.
Damn.
Yeah. Lots of, we always joked about the ghosts of cats walking through the office. Not that Pet Savers lost any animals. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, the ghosts of all the ball sacks and nuts and everything floating around. Well, cool. So what do you do for fun?
Oh, geez. What do I do for fun? Okay, well, this part's getting harder because my kids are getting older, but for a while I had them convinced that it was fun for them to watch me play video games. So I do that for a while. We got all the way through Zelda Breath of the Wild with them thinking it was cool to watch Dad play. Now they all want to play themselves, so...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that well, they would rather watch other people play than play themselves. It's like, shit, I remember when my kids had Minecraft and they just would rather watch these people play Minecraft on YouTube than go and play Minecraft.
Yeah.
Isn't that the way it is? Isn't it? It's interesting because we love just watching these things for entertainment. Yeah. And in fact, the podcast I do, I'll put video games in the middle.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so which one do you want? What video games if you wanted?
What options you got?
I'm open to suggestions as long as it's something that keeps people engaged in looking at the center.
Yeah.
And ever since I did that, the audience retention increased from 3 minutes to 10 minutes.
Oh, nice.
So that's why I do the video games.
Yeah.
Or some sort of thing in the center that keeps people looking at it. Because 2 people talking is kind of fucking boring. But if they see...
Yeah.
Like, I usually have Call of Duty. I'll have Minecraft. I'll have Mario Kart. I'll have Halo. I'll have whatever.
Yeah, Halo's always a good classic. If you could get some Zelda up there or some Batman, some Arkham,
Batman. Yeah, you're a Batman fan. I'm a fan of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Batman movie?
Ooh. Yeah, it's got to be. I can't believe I'm blanking on the title of it. The third Christian Bale one with Heath Ledger.
The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite too.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger killed it. He was the perfect one. In fact, I was looking for movie scripts because you don't come in early enough. But every but on Friday, I bring scripts
Oh, nice.
for people to read. So this last Friday, I brought in 3 scripts. It was for Seinfeld. It was a Seinfeld episode. So I was Kramer. Dave was Jerry. And then I had John be George. And then when Dallas Lowe came, I had Dallas Lowe be George.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm looking at scripts. So if you come early enough, you can be part of the reading.
Oh yeah, I'll try to make it earlier.
But I was looking at some Batman ones, but they're saying they want like sitcom-y things, like it's like Modern Family and whatnot. And I do this because of the acting class that I go to, and so doing these cold reads with random people is really good practice.
Oh, that is good. Yeah, it's been so long since I acted. I used to be all into drama. High school, I was drama club president. I had the lead role in 3 plays. Yeah, acting's a blast.
Yeah. Well, I keep bringing in the scripts because it's fun. I was looking at one for the Heath Ledger for Dark Knight because I'm looking, all right, what scene has a bunch of people talking? Most of the scenes are dialogues between 2 people.
Yep.
Boring. That doesn't involve enough. Sitcoms are better because there's more people that are involved, but it's hard to find a scene where you got 4 guys. So someone has to be a woman.
Oh, fair.
Right. Whether it's Seinfeld, and I had a hard time finding scenes where it's 4 men. 4 main character men. Even if Modern Family, the show Modern Family, I don't know if you watch that, but that's hard to find 4 men.
Yeah. I was trying to think. So, well, if you're wanting a script that'd be semi-comedic, there's all the Adam West Batman shows and movies. You might be able to find something from there.
Okay.
I know those are usually... Somebody actually did a cartoon. They basically animated, so they took all the audio from the 66 Batman movie and made a whole cartoon with it. Mm-hmm. It was pretty fun. But I don't know, so I was thinking about that, about having a fun script, but I don't know. I know there's a part where like all the villains are in a lair, but I still think it's 3 guys, and then because there's Catwoman and Poison Ivy, and then you have Joker, Penguin, and Two-Face.
Well, if you can find the scripts and bring them, that'd be great. Just print off enough and then highlight the parts for people. So that's what I do. I just instantly highlight if it's Kramer, like all the Kramer lines, and then that way they aren't confused and makes the read go better. And it makes me, somebody else brought up another good point about how do you make a game show off of script reading.
Oh.
Who would judge that?
Well, how could you do it? Yeah, you gotta... That'd be...
Well, it's kind of like whose line is it anyway,
right?
Kind of a thing.
Where the points don't matter?
Yeah, where the points don't matter, and it's... Yeah, but that's my thought. Like, what... But aside from script reading, if you were to make a game show, what kind of game show would you make?
Ooh. I definitely do one of the either... so like the American Gladiator type of show, something physical, or like American Ninja Warrior type, but it's also... I think like the Japanese game shows where they just have ridiculous things that you've got to do.
Mm-hmm. Those are always fun.
Yeah. It's got to be funny, but then something where you mix a little bit of skill with a little bit of ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm thinking lower startup cost.
Lower startup.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were just saying like big dreams here.
Oh, big dreams are cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's something I've been thinking about. I don't have anything nailed down, but I know that making a game show would be big.
Yeah.
Because there's no game show in Spokane.
That would be okay. All right. We could do... Yeah.
Well, so what are the prerequisites that make a good game show? Low involvement to understand it. Like, you instantly know. It's like, what do you want? The new iPhone, or what's in the box?
Yeah.
Kind of a Mr. Beast sort of a thing. There's always trivia-based things.
Yeah, something you can jump in. You don't have to watch it in a sequence.
Correct. Yeah, you can instantly jump in, low commitment. You intuitively know how the game is played. But it instantly adds suspense. And, of course, you need like a little bit of character development in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, too, well, I mean, kind of with anything nowadays, you almost need to have either the whole thing is short format, or you have like the full episode of whatever you're doing, and then being able to chunk it into clips, because that's all we can get people to pay attention to nowadays.
Correct.
So something where you can get the highlights real easy and post those.
Yeah. I just don't know what show. It's usually better to be in front of a live studio audience. I've also thought of a show of a higher startup cost, and that would be getting a group of people that have no technical ability to work with their hands and make them do trades related things, like fix the broken sprinkler line, or build a wooden box, or fix this thing, install that thing.
Yeah, that you could even do, so you add on to that, on the kid shows where, what tool would help me? And they've got like the 3 tools above them, and the kid's got to pick the right tool.
Like Handy Manny, yeah.
So give them like totally 3 options, and one could be the right tool for the job, and the other 2 not, and see which one the non-technical people pick.
That could be, yeah. So that's something to think about, to sit on and cook them on and see, what comes up.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. So what else? What other things are new in your life?
I'm excited for summer. I want to get back out on the lake this year. I got a jet ski that I didn't get out last year, so I'd like to get that. Well, it's an old 1996 Polaris. A buddy gave me a good deal on it, and I totally stripped it down, painted it lime green, put Seahawks decals all over it.
So it's a jet ski, like you stand up on it?
Oh no, it's just the I guess the wave rider.
The wave seated runners. Yeah.
But yeah, it's all ready to go, except the stupid fuel filler spout. It's old enough that the plastic started breaking on it. So I ordered a replacement one, but it's just slightly too small, so I got to order a new one. But yeah, get that out this summer, get out on the lake.
That's a lot of fun. I bet your kids will love that.
Oh yeah, they have a blast. They had, actually the first year I got it out was a lot of fun because it had sat for several years, and I thought I got all the bad gas out, but I had to work some of it through the motor still. So you'd be sitting there full throttle, and then it'd be kind of going along, and then it'd get a batch of good gas and just shoot like a rocket, and then you'd slow down again.
Oh, okay.
But now it's all good. It's got all clean fuel in it now. But that first summer was, at least the first tank of gas was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. So what inspired you to get a wave runner?
So I grew up on motorbikes. So I don't know, just love having. Okay, so actually the year before, or it was 2 years before I got it, we had gone up to Priest Lake and rented some jet skis, and it was the first time I'd been on them, or wave runner. Mm-hmm. And I just had a blast. So when my friend, he was like, "Oh, I'm trying to get rid of mine," I just took him up on the deal.
I haven't even seen anybody even riding the old jet skis. That used to be a common thing when I was a kid. I kind of liked them. You stand up.
Yeah.
You're standing the whole time as you're going.
Yeah, you don't really see a whole bunch of them. Actually, so it was 3 years ago now. We went up and we had, my brother-in-law had his boat up we were on a river and we were there for a week. We were going to hang out, do water stuff. And he had been up there several times, but the water got real low and one of the sandbars didn't see and just ran the prop of the boat right into it.
Oh, yeah.
And just trashed it. So my wave runner has experience towing boats too. So
Can it tow a person?
oh yeah,
Like, yeah, water skiing and slalom. That's a lot of fun.
yeah,
You know, you can get 2 kids on the back and then 1 kid on towed, and then they just take turns.
yeah,
That's a lot of fun. I used to love doing that when I was a kid. Now that I've gotten older, I feel like I've grown out of it, which I shouldn't feel that way until I get on the water and I start doing it again. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I've forgotten about how fun this was.
yeah. But then there's always the next day.
Yeah, there's always the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, you can take a tube. That'd be
Yep.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've got a tube. We hook up to it. I actually haven't towed anybody skiing behind it, but yeah, we generally hook up a tube. Yeah.
Cool. You can do all sorts of fun things, like probably more fun if you had a boat, but you can go to remote places on the lake and certain lakes. Like you should go to Banks Lake sometime. Banks Lake is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there a bunch of times when I was a kid. It's so beautiful. It's almost like well, it wasn't. It was a lake that was dried out, that was formed during the mini driest period after a glacial dam broke and it flooded during the Missoula floods, and it diverted the Columbia River, and the Columbia River pooled into a lake, Banks Lake. But over time, the geography changed and the lake dried out. But Banks Lake and Roosevelt Lake are man-made lakes that are the result of the Grand Coulee Dam that they put in. Right, and so you'll learn all about that. But yeah, totally take a trip to Banks Lake this year. It's phenomenal. Like, it's got all these low sandbars and no prop issues really, because there's no stumps or anything to hit. But the low sandbars, like you won't ruin your props on it. But it's just awesome because you have like 300 meters of this soft, shallow, sandy shore, and you can wade out really far. It's a lot of fun. And so many places on the lake you can do it. You just go and you can do a day trip and barbecue. And, you know, you launch at the boat launch, go to the place, drop off the first people, come back, pick up the rest of the gear, and then go there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
No, that sounds like fun. I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're talking about having the boat, though, too. And they don't make them for the older ones, but I can't remember what company, but they make like a boat attachment for wave runners. So you can basically just drive right up into the cavity of the.
Oh yeah, that's some rich man stuff. If you can if you can have that.
I always, of course, it's always one of those things where my wife's like, "No, you can't." But I was like, "I could make one of those," but I can't because I don't have time or resources. But yeah, it'd be fun to have one of those where because that is the problem with wave runner is you can't fit the whole family on.
Yeah, you can't fit the whole family on. Yeah, it's true.
So being able to just drive right up a transformer style, turn into a boat, unhook.
Right, for sure. So, well, that's a lot of fun. And that, you know, I had a really blessed childhood because my dad is obsessed with hunting and fishing. And we would do that often. Every summer we were at Banks Lake, or we were somewhere at some lake or some reservoir.
Yeah.
doing something to the point where I was like, man, I'm camped out. I'm getting bored by myself out here alone. But now I like it. Once I've been, it's that call back to nature, and I feel it myself. My goal this year is to hike the Enchantments again. So the Enchantments are a beautiful mountain range near Wenatchee, Washington. It's loaded with all these high alpine lakes. So unlike Glacier Lake, unlike Crater Lake, which is clear, but it's clear from the rainwater, these lakes are clear from the ancient glaciers that have been on them for years. And so it looks like this beautiful blue, especially if you go up to Kolchak Lake. So that, and I need to summit St. Helens again.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so you take the family and do that. That's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Like anyone can summit St. Helens. It only takes 2 hours to get to the top. And it's cool. It's like the land before time.
Yeah.
Literally. Like the rocks kind of look like a long neck rock. Like, yeah, like that. In going up, this ancient lava flows is what they are. And just climbing. And it's a lot of fun. Totally do it. And once you get to the top, it's breathtaking. It's unlike any volcano I've ever summited. And I've summited a few of them. And it's the best view of any volcano. Because you see what 100 nuclear bombs worth of devastation does to the land. It took one lake, Spirit Lake, and blew it into 4 geographic lakes. As a matter of fact, May 18th, 1980, so that's coming up in 5 days.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's when St. Helens blew. So it was a nice spring day, and all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
So my grandpa talked about that because he is an orchardist in Wenatchee, and he said the year that St. Helens blew, the fruit was phenomenal because the ash was so good. Yeah, and I love going to the top and getting the ash. And the ash is still good to grow things in.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
I know my mom had she could never find it, but she swore she had a jar of it. I remember her telling me they were leaving church when all the ash started falling. And yeah, by the time, they were about 10 minutes away to get home. And by the time they got home, it was just black. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it was just blacked out. I remember seeing the videos from Yakima. Just in the middle of the day, it's all black. They're driving with lights on. That destroyed a lot of vehicles because volcanic ash destroyed so many cars.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a cool reminder that, hey, we're here on the Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
We're there. And just driving past Ellensburg, if you've ever done that, and you see Mount Rainier and then Mount Adams, and they're just massive things. And you're like, that is cool. That is something. Dangerous mountains, though. Mount Adams. It was Mount Adams I almost died on twice.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, because I summited it, and I broke 2 rules. One rule was don't go alone. No, that was the rule I broke. Don't go alone. Because my party, they were back down below. And I'm like, I see the summit right there. I'm just going to go summit it.
Yeah.
And so I summited it. And then as I was going back down, any slight deviation. And there's so many trails.
Oh, yeah.
And I drifted right. And before I knew it, and I slipped down this glacier, smacked into the bottom, into these lava rocks. I'm lucky I didn't. I got away with just scratches.
Yeah.
And I remember sliding uncontrollably down this glacier, like trying to grab at anything. It was just feeling of helplessness. It sucked.
Oh, I bet.
And then I'm like, fuck, man, I'm 10 glaciers. I'm like 10 glaciers, 10 draws away from where the actual trail is because I could see the lower base camp. I'm like, I need to get there, and it's getting dark. And I was lucky. I was damn fucking lucky that day.
Yeah, things like that definitely put everything else into perspective for you, I bet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Mount Hood is the most dangerous mountain we have in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of climbers die on it because it's so steep. Mount Hood's just that perfect alpine thing. Looks like the Matterhorn from Disneyland. Yeah.
It's interesting to think about because you never think about people dying on the mountains around here. You always hear about Everest or other more notorious mountains that people die on. So it's interesting to hear about just right in our backyard. I mean, happens everywhere, but. All right. So speaking of glaciers, though, have you ever gone to an ice cave?
Yes.
Those are so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one at the base of Mount Rainier.
Yeah. I can't remember where it was, but when we lived over in Seattle, my wife and I went and we hiked in, and it was just big chunk of ice and cliff coming down and the air just coming right through that. The coolest thing is like you're just as hot as can be. It was middle of summer, and then you just get AC blasting at you. But where we were, I think it was the next year, we had hung out at a spot like up on top of the glacier, and we had a news article the next year that we saw, and they showed pictures where a chunk of ice fell and actually took out some people. It was right where we had been. We're like, oh,
yeah,
it's real.
Yeah, those glaciers are scary. So, and you don't realize how scary they get. Like the crevasse. A crevasse that's what kills a lot of people. Sliding down the glacier into a crack.
Yeah.
Then nobody will ever know you are. And you're down there, like 30 feet down into a crack.
Yeah, and there's no way to get out of that.
Yeah, you're fucked. And that's a frightening thing. It's way more of a deal in Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier has there's some scary photos like you see of Mount Rainier. And the thing is, everyone's tied to each other.
Oh.
As like a preventative measure. So if one person goes down, you're all going to fucking die. So but that's the only way to prevent one person from dying is by everybody being tagged together and they slam in. The next day I almost died on Mount Baker. So the first one day when I summited, I almost died going down. Then the next day with my sister and my brother-in-law, we almost died because my sister thought, oh, we should take this shortcut because these ladies said that this was a shortcut. And it's straight down a fucking glacier, right? And so we're going along, like cresting the edge of it. I slip. I go down uncontrollably. But this time I was prepared because I had my fucking ice axe and I stuck the ice axe in and I used it as a brake. But I was still going down so uncontrollably fast that the only thing I could do was roll onto it and stick the pick in and just hold on until I came to a stop. And then from that point I realized, fuck, if you're gonna glissade, you have to take off your crampons. So I took off my crampons, or else, I mean, you'll fucking tear your knees to shit and your feet to shit if you try to glissade with crampons on. But that's so we glissaded down. My brother-in-law, not so lucky, boom, smacked the freaking lava rocks in the bottom below. He was okay, but we thought about it like, fuck, if you were hurt, if any of us was hurt, we would be so fucked. Yeah. We have no cell phone coverage. We would have to hike back to find help.
And then hopefully remember where you were at.
Yeah. And then, like, even if I did have cell phone coverage, good luck trying to talk a helicopter onto us where we are. Like, I'm not sure. I mean, we weren't off the trail too far. But, yeah, we broke those rules. We did break 2 rules. We got off the trail. And I didn't stay with the group.
Yep.
So, and I remember seeing those signs going up as I was about to summit. But yeah, Mount Adams is nasty, but not as bad as Mount Hood. I'm not going to even attempt Mount Hood.
Yeah.
Just because I don't need to. I mean, really, the prettiest view is just the base of Mount Rainier. But Mount Rainier is so dangerous that they don't even go on the top. So in the top, there is a caldera, like the bowl. And that bowl, nobody knows how deep it goes because it's all covered in ice.
Oh.
Right? So if you go walking on that, you'll break through and you'll die. Because people have done that. So Mount Rainier claims a couple lives a year. It's no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if I was to do Mount Rainier, I would only do it with a guide with a phenomenal safety record. But I just don't have that desire anymore. Like, I just don't. I mean, I'd rather do the safer things that are more fun.
Yeah, the things where you have a better chance of making it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, talk about Batman.
Ooh, Batman. Yeah, no, he's just, he's kind of always been just my favorite. Actually, it's funny, though, because of all the things that I'm interested in, and we always do, like, big dress-ups for Halloween and that. But I actually never dressed up as Batman, even though he's my favorite. But
I named my daughter Harley.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, based on Harley Quinn.
Yeah. My youngest, he doesn't like it when I say this, but named him Grayson after Dick Grayson.
Oh.
And my wife says, well, I just like the name. And I'm like, nah, it's after Batman. But
that's fine.
Yeah. No, he's just always been, I don't know, just, he's definitely you've got the whole dark and brooding aspect, but he's just always been the more, I'm going to figure out a way to do it, right? Like, he doesn't have a superpower to help him. He's all about, okay, what tool can I use? What can I do? What resource can I use or create? Or how can I use this to my advantage to help fight against bad guys?
Yeah. What I love about Batman is it's DC.
Yep.
Not Disney. And it's dark and it's realistic. Yeah. It's more realistic, you know. And what I like is how Gotham is a great stage that a creative can change. So you can have the Suicide Squad in a modern Gotham. You can allow for new, better characters, actors to be a Joker, which I thought the Suicide Joker sucked compared to Heath Ledger. I mean, he was the GOAT. And then Joaquin Phoenix came, and that was a freaking phenomenal one. The first Joker, not the flop. This last one with Lady Gaga was a total flop. I didn't want to.
I actually haven't watched either of those. I need to.
Oh well, don't watch the flop. Watch the first Joker.
All right.
If you watch the flop, you'll ruin the first one for you. Yeah, so just watch the first Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, and it was almost like, yeah, they've resurrected the Joker because he was a phenomenal Joker.
Yeah.
And I've watched that morphing thing. So like back in the first Batman, the Joker was not an evil guy. He was just a jokester on the show because the show was tailored towards families and they didn't want anything dark and sinister. And then Tim Burton changed the game when he had his rendition of Batman with Jack Nicholson as the Joker. And Jack Nicholson's Joker was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as much as I love Christian Bale, and he did a good job, but Michael Keaton.
Oh, Michael Keaton, yeah, he was a good one.
I loved his return as Batman in the Flash movie. Like, it was just, yeah.
Yep, that's what's cool about it. Yeah, and we'll see where it goes in the future.
Yeah.
But I know that the spin-off shows, I used to love the animation, and even my sons like the animation that I watched when I was a kid of the original Batman animation. And the guy who played Joker, who was the voice of Joker in the animation, was also the voice of Joker in the game Arkham Asylum.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, and then so the Joker's whole backstory is cool too. So have you read? Because so it was originally what comic was it? I can't remember the number, but it was the Batman and the Killing Joke, and it really goes into Joker's backstory, which is interesting because he actually started out as a stand-up comedian, but he wasn't making ends meet, and so his wife was pregnant, and so he wanted to have a house. He wanted to have money to take care of his wife and child, and so he kind of got brought in to work with the Red Hood gang. And so all these crimes were happening by this guy in a red hood, but the Red Hood gang was just pulling different people in to wear the hood. And it was actually more of like a glass kind of dome thing that he would wear. And so Batman came in to stop him. Back up a little bit. Right before that, he was actually at his stand-up comedian job, and something happened to his wife and baby gone. So he goes back to the Red Hood gang. Is like, I'm sorry, I can't. And he's like, I'm just I can't help you guys. Well, they forced him to do it because he already said he would. And so that's where he's just despondent, and he's trying to rob whatever facility they were at. And that's where Batman comes in to stop the Red Hood and knocks him into the vat, and then he's Joker.
Huh.
Yeah. He's got such an interesting story, just kind of that like thrown into a bad situation and then just becomes, psycho.
Well, isn't that a reflection of a lot of people? I had this buddy who said, we're only 3 bad days away from a mass shooting. Like, it contingent that you had the capabilities to do it. But yeah, I could see that. Like 3 really bad days away from just losing your shit.
Yeah, it's sad to think about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's why we like those sort of shows, is it reveals and allows people to see possibilities of themselves if they were in situations, the whole for the grace of God go I thing. And it forces even things down to like zombie apocalypse movies. I don't know if you're into those, or like The Walking Dead or anything like that, but
yeah,
it's about the survivors.
Yeah.
It's about reducing humanity back down to our primitive roots. Like the getting rid of this facade of this veneer of civilization. Like, who are we at our core, kind of a thing. How well do we keep our morals in bad situations? And have you watched other people who were just morally martyred? Do the people with morality get martyred? And what good is the martyrdom?
Yeah.
It makes you really think about these things. So
no, it is really, yeah. And I think that, like you talk about with Batman, is you're able to see the potential or the possibility of these, the reality of the situation, right? It's not a superpower based. Granted, he is in the DC superhero world, and so you have all those superpowers, but yeah, he's reacting to it very differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other fun thing. So I've only gone once. I need to get back again, but in Walla Walla, they put on Adam West Day. And so it's usually in August, and they're trying to get an Adam West Batman statue in Walla Walla. And I think I need to look at it again. I think this year they were going to try, or or was it last year that they tried? I need to look it up. They were trying to get the most people dressed up as Batman to come to Walla Walla to bring the world record back to Adam West's hometown, because he's from Walla Walla. He went to Whitworth Community College, or not Whitworth, Walla Walla Community College. And so they were trying to, I think there's a town in Canada that has the record for the most people dressed up as Batman in one location. So they were trying to bring it back to Walla Walla.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Walla Walla's really changed a lot, man. It's just wine country now.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Connell because it has the prison there. I remember driving past that when I drive from the Tri-Cities up here. I drive past Connell and I think, And to think that's actually a minimum security prison.
Yeah. Well, okay. And the funny thing about that too is, so there's on the freeway you drive past, but then the high school is technically on the same road as the prison. And so whenever the buses would come in, there's a sign and it says prison and it points to the road, but you hit the school first. So we always joked, we're getting bused to the prison to go to school.
Yeah, that is funny. Has there been anyone who's escaped?
Not that I know of. I mean,
if you're in minimum security prison.
Yeah, you're just there to do your time and get out.
Yeah, not much. But Walla Walla, that's the state penitentiary. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been there or seen Walla Walla since I was a kid. We used to go pheasant hunting down there. But yeah, they've changed it. I got a cousin who lives there, and you should check it out. He's got a wine villa, or he works on a winery.
Yeah,
he's big into that. Went to school for that. Shows on Netflix. Where do you watch shows?
So actually, we've been doing a lot of Crunchyroll lately. So we like a lot of anime in our house. So I think my favorite, there's a couple that have been my most favorite recent ones. So there's one called Kaiju Number 8. And basically there's these monsters that come in and it's kind of cool because there's the group that comes in and destroys the monsters. And the show actually starts with the cleanup crew. So it's kind of a fun, like you're seeing the crew that has to come in and like chop up the monster body and dispose of it. One of those guys kind of like merges with one of the monsters, but then he's working to help humankind, and it's kind of his whole story. So it's got a lot of funny parts to it, and pretty action packed. So there's that one. And then another one I really like is called Solo Leveling, and it's this really scrawny kid, and he lives in a world where they go through these portals to defeat monsters, and they have to close down the portal or the monsters will come into the real world. But there's different people with different magic abilities, and he doesn't have any until he goes into this portal, and basically everybody gets destroyed. But he tried to save some people and then is given these ability to level up. And so he starts training and continues to level up and save people. And there's so much into that show that I can't even get into all of it. But yeah, we really like anime. It's fun to get different stories than what we kind of are exposed to.
What's fun about anime is, they do no holds barred on some things. They're just animators that want to express the story and aren't afraid to do gory things. Yeah. And there's just something about that art, the way it is, that's very attractive to the human eye. Of all the different types of cartoons, and I think about this in the worlds of animation, what are these animations that people really like? And I think, one, they like the big eyes.
Yep.
They like that. And Walt Disney was onto that too. So he understood. He was the first one to really focus on the big eyes and big mouth with Mickey Mouse and whatnot, and made all the characters like that. And that's because when we were babies needing attention and our vision wasn't fully developed, the biggest thing we focused on was big eyes because everything was blurry and big smiles. And that's what we're used to seeing from being in a state of stress to, oh, here's my parents to rescue me. Kind of a thing. And he really capitalized on that, and I thought that was cool. So that and it makes me think about other things, like how it moves into fashion, such as women that wear the big freaking glasses.
Yeah.
You know, that, or people, like why they do the things they do. So human psychology has always kind of fascinated me.
Yeah, no, it is interesting.
So, what other shows besides anime?
Yeah, I just really I don't know, I'll pretty much watch anything. I really like, I'm a big sports guy, so like any sports documentaries. Like I love hearing the behind the scenes stories of kind of what's going on. I think on Amazon Prime they do the, what's it called? They have a series where they follow professional sports teams around. So they've done a few NFL ones. One of my favorite was actually they followed the New Zealand All Blacks rugby team. And so that was really cool to just see behind the scenes. And they like film the players with their family, and then they film them at practice, and then you get matches, like parts of the matches that they play. So I don't really like any
behind the scenes character development of the players. That's cool. So when you're watching things, how long are these episodes?
Usually about like 45, 55 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my my laundry time shows when I'm sitting there folding laundry. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, laundry time shows. I've forgotten about that. Which shows do you just put shows on just to have them going in the background, just to listen while you do things around the house?
Yeah, sometimes we do that. It'll be, either just well, usually if I want the kids to go outside but I want something on, I'll throw on a nature show. Mm-hmm. And they either sit down, I'm like, okay, if you're sitting down, you're at least learning something. Or you get bored of it and you go outside and play. So
yeah. So what's your big dream? What is it you want to do in the world?
Ooh. Honestly, like, and not to shamelessly plug our company, but I just like helping people, and especially like seeing the behind the scenes, right, of watching professional athletes and their teams. It's the same thing with business owners and seeing, what they're doing. And there's a lot of people, especially here in Spokane, that are doing some really cool things. And so being able to be a part of that is something that always intrigues me. So I like what I'm doing right now with Zebra Go. I'd like to be able to just expand and help more people and be part of the behind the scenes story of how businesses were able to succeed, or really, and even if it's not with Zebra Go, I just like, if I can have a good impact on someone, help them, whether that's through a tough time or connect them with somebody else that can help them, or just, I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, are really missing that personal connection. And so I just like making connections with people, and we're trying not to sound cliche or.
Well, I think just quantify it with a number. Like, how many clients do you want?
Oh.
Do you want a bigger office? Do you want 15 employees?
I mean, honestly, yeah, as far as like with the company, I'd like to help out as many as we can. So I know in our first year, we're wanting to get um, somewhere in that like 25 to 30 range of of companies that were actually signed up to help. Um, and then really the nice thing about what we do have to scale because we have real people answering the phones. But the way we've structured it is you have a core support person and then you have backup people. So we can pretty much guarantee that the phones are answered uh, while being able to support multiple businesses. So, I mean, there's not really. We have to be careful of our growth and we have to do it so that we're hiring people at the proper time. But there's no limit to how many people we can serve. So it'd be cool if we could get up to, somewhere in the hundreds. Thousands, I think, will be a little ambitious for us right now. But start getting into, a few hundred.
That is ambitious. A few hundred employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very ambitious. That's a very good goal. So how do you get there? That's tough.
That's what we're trying to figure out right now because we're not just like a program you can go sign up for online. Like if you sign up, I need to talk to you about your business. What are you needing help with? What kind of work do you do? How do you want us to answer the call? So there's a whole setup process. So we have to go through that to get people signed up. But there's also that trust factor. You're sending your calls to me. So you're trusting me to answer all your phone calls, your emails with customers, your text messages. So that's probably the biggest challenge because that's a lot to give up, especially for a small business owner. There's a lot of trust there, and there's that feeling of like, oh, I won't know what's going on in my business. And we bridge that gap by providing updates. And you can see your schedule on your phone. We have reports built in. And then you have, I have several customers, and we can customize it for however works for you. But we either do like a text message recap for some, or I have another customer that likes to get an email halfway through the day and then at the end of the day. So we do that for them so that they kind of know what's going on in their business throughout the day.
Good for you. Getting out and getting customers.
Yeah.
So the people who answer the calls, where are they located?
So they're in the Philippines.
Okay.
And we have 4 phone answering staff in the Philippines right now. And I've actually been very impressed with our team. Like their attention to detail is just fantastic. Like if I give them direction or a specific task of how to handle someone's specific business's calls, or hey, normally we do a follow-up 2 days after, this customer wants it a day after. Just those things that they'll just pick up on and do. I know if I give them direction, I don't have to ask a second time. They'll just make sure that it gets done, and it's makes it easy when I'm talking to people about our service, because then I know, like, once I get them onboarded and into the system, I'll check in with them, make sure things are going good, but I just let my team handle everything else that they need.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got those link or Filipino answerers, because I was about to call them link clickers, because that's what you could use them for.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, one thing we do, so with the follow-ups, we always ask, and it's actually a great way, and I don't think a lot of businesses are good at being consistent about it, which is, again, what our team brings is that consistency. But when we do a follow-up, if someone has a good experience, we're asking for that Google review, making sure they're getting on and helping promote that business. But then the flip side of that, if somebody responds because we're doing those follow-ups negatively, we can get them either back on the schedule for the technician to resolve whatever the issue was, or we say, hey, this customer's upset because of this thing's still leaking or this faucet's still leaking, and then give the business owner the opportunity to call them and help resolve the issue before it leads to a negative Google review. So
yeah, that would be great.
yeah, just trying to help. Again, there's that, you go out, you do the job, and okay, you're on to the next, and it's really hard to keep track of all that administrative side.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to find white Americans that want to do it. It's hard. So
Yeah.
you got, I mean, thank God for the Filipinos. And they're a hell of a power force for us. You know that they were a U.S. territory.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was the 80s is when, I think that's right. Yeah, it was in the 80s that we let go of our ownership or whatever we had there.
Yeah, and I remember the history. It started World War II. I could talk about the Philippines forever, but I mean, I might as well plug the other podcast that I produce for the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce here in Spokane.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, with Vanjie White. Vanjie, yeah, she's got her new show, Vanjie's World. So
I'll have to connect with her.
yeah, well, she's been to the group one time. 1 week, those ladies came in force. All the Filipino ladies, like, they came in force and saw what we had going on. And yeah, I'm on their board of their group, so
That's really cool.
well, and I told Vanjie, I'm like, hey, look, when you go to the Philippines, I want you to like try to get Filipino link clickers to click the links on these videos, because that would be huge to grow the brand.
Yeah.
And so that's what she's doing now. She's currently building a resort in the Philippines.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, but she'll be back soon enough. But in the meantime, I mean, I'll get you connected with those ladies. They're a good group.
Yeah, it's actually, so we have one office, so in our office here in Spokane, we've got a lady that moved over from the Philippines, so she's here, and she's been making traditional Filipino food for us for lunches every now and then, and it's pretty awesome.
That's sweet of her.
Yeah.
They really work their asses off, man.
Yeah.
That's what I really admire the immigrants more the older I get and the more I meet immigrants, and because they just have a different mentality. They aren't elitist. They aren't above a job.
Yeah.
And I'll be damned if they don't work their asses off and make some money.
Right.
And they'd be making, unless like all the Mexicans say, I'd have more money if I wasn't sending it back to Mexico to support my lazy ass family. Yeah, which I've heard that a bunch of times. So, but that's kind of a funny joke thing. So, who are your favorite comedians right now?
Ooh. Jim Gaffigan is always a good. Yeah.
He's got he's got a unique humor.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, he's not. Yeah. He's, what is he? Always riffing on the McDonald's, and it's always the self-deprecating humor.
Yeah, self-deprecating fat jokes. Yeah. Like Hot Pocket.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Dang man, I love comedy. Like I said, I bombed the other day, but I'm gonna keep working on it. But just because I bombed in that group doesn't mean I won't bomb on stage. When Dallas was here, when Dallas was there, I had another set of jokes lined up.
Yeah.
Where I was just gonna start ripping on all the homeless people. But then he's talking about like, oh, this Christian stuff, and then I'm like, okay, maybe I won't be. I'll just go with the self-deprecating route instead of ripping on the homeless people. But when I go to the comedy club, I'm ripping on the homeless people. I got some good bits. Like I call them the spoken dead.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, because you see him walking around. Yeah, that's just me. So I'm gonna be doing that. And let's see here. So do you read it all?
Yeah. Actually, I love really anything fantasy novels. My brother-in-law just got me into the Brandon Sanderson books, and so I just finished the Mistborn series. I don't know if you've heard of him. And then there's I'm like halfway through the Stormlight archive. So he's so he calls it the Cosmere. He's connected all these different kind of worlds together, and it's there's one character that kind of travels between all the books, and he's in every book, but you got to try to figure out which character he is. It's kind of fun.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like hiding Gandalf.
Yeah.
In Middle Earth.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I've been really into those, and then have you read the Aragon series? Or the Inheritance trilogy by Christopher Paolini.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay, another fantasy novel. I read those as a kid, actually. Yeah, so it's magic, dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, we love that stuff, man. Yeah. Anything. People love fairy stories. Tolkien wrote an entire essay called On Fairy Stories, where it talks about, and he relates it back to the Bible, how the Bible is an epic, and how people like epics. They like the hero's journey. They like knowing that you're destined for more. You have this calling to do more. You have this burden. You now have this burden that you have to go on a journey to relieve yourself of this burden and come back a new person. And if it wasn't for Tolkien writing that book on fairy stories, you wouldn't even know the name Beowulf, or any of the Scandinavian stories, because they were going to be taken out of British literature as just that they were going to get rid of it at the time. And so him being a huge fan of fairy stories in the Scandinavian folklore, he wrote this essay on it and saved it, preserved that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, and just the contribution that Tolkien had to the whole, I mean, to so much. It's just, I love, I haven't read a whole lot of it, but I know that the relationship he had with C.S. Lewis and their group that just kind of, I mean, the stories that came out of their era and that they wrote. I'm actually reading right now to my kids. We just started reading the Chronicles of Narnia. So we're on the first book.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think that's actually been one of my favorite things about having kids is the reading to them. So, read the whole Harry Potter series, and then it's always funny though, like I'll read a book to them and they're like, is there a movie for this one? I'm like, no, not this one doesn't have a movie.
Yeah, I know. And it's really sad, like sometimes the movies are, I like the old animated Hobbit.
Oh yeah,
that made more sense to me. But you should read to them the 1984 by George Orwell. That's a good one. I don't know if you've ever read that.
Yeah, I've read that one.
Yeah, I read that during COVID. In fact, that was the most listened to and read book during COVID was George Orwell's 1984.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Now, yeah, Big Brother's real. So we're coming on 15 seconds left or less than a minute. So last but not least, where can people find you?
Okay, yeah. So, I don't do a whole lot on Instagram, but really Facebook and LinkedIn. Those are my two main areas where I need to get better about posting. I usually share content from the company, or I actually was at an event this last weekend. It was a charity golf tournament for Elevation, so I posted about that. So I'm getting better about posting on the social media stuff. But
where's your website? What's your website?
Zebrago.io.
All right, zebrago.io. There you guys have it. Be sure to check out zebrago.io in the link in the video description below. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast as much as I did with Zane. Be sure to follow him, hook him up with some page rank, and we will see you guys next time. Bye!